Game started.
Okay, Sagel or Sagel plays d4. Well, let's go for d5. And knight f3, okay. I'm going to play the immediate c5 here. If he takes, I have check and take it back with the queen. And if he plays that, there's no more check. Let's defend it with the knight. I want to fianchetto the bishop, and yeah. You put up this little pawn triangle here, sort of blunts the effect of white's light squared bishop. Get your dark squared bishop out here. And then try and undermine this pawn triangle on the dark squares. So he immediately is lashing out against my setup. But I haven't castled. And I don't want him to play h5, so I'll stop h5. I probably will still castle king side here. Never looks too good to castle queen side after you've moved the c pawn and you're threatening to open up open up the c file. So I'll just have to live with this weakened king side here, I guess. Sort of a choice of evils. If you don't push h5 to stop white from playing h5, you can push on and then take on g6 and weaken the pawn that way. Now he has the threat of playing g4 and trying to undermine that way, but at the moment it's stopped by the knight here. So I will castle. Maybe take here and play e5. I guess I can't. I can't play e5 just yet. I could play knight, could take here, play knight to g4, and then play e5, supported by the two knights and the bishop. That's an idea. What are white's ideas? White can bring his queen out along this diagonal. Here, here, or here. I guess it's not doing a whole lot. Here maybe puts pressure on the center and the b pawn, but yeah, I created a hole here on g5 and he's occupied it. And I can't do much about that. Now if I go knight g5, he can play f3. But he's taken his eye off of e5 for the moment, so I could just play e5. Or take first. Oh, I should have calculated the sacrifice. Knight takes, rook takes, bishop takes is kind of annoying. It gets two pawns for the piece and he's attacking my rook. Knight takes, king takes, I suppose is possible. Bishop takes, king takes. If I don't get mated, I've got two pieces for the two pawns. Queen can't come out just yet. Okay, so now I want to play e5, I think. Bust up the center here. He'll probably take because he doesn't want me to play e4 and block out his bishop. So e5, pawn takes, knight takes, hitting the bishop. Yeah, I think it's good to do this while his king is still in the center. I'll have an isolated pawn here, which is not immediately under attack. So it can sit there for a while. When I get my knight to this square, it'll open up my bishop. So I can play bishop here and rook here. Rook on the e file, hitting his king or threatening his king indirectly because the knight will be there. Bishop here will threaten the queen, but he might just play f3. But after f3, maybe his knight is stranded, so there may be tactics there. There may be tactics. Let's see. So once again, what is white's plan? He still could consider sacrificing, yeah. That's a different way. I would have probably, if I was going to sacrifice, I probably would have sacked the knight there. So now pawn takes, and that's his idea. Pawn takes bishop, and knight to here. queen moves, and then he takes the rook. So that's 2 pieces for a rook and a pawn. Should be okay for me. So I'm going to force him to take. Now, I don't know how to take back here. Maybe with the queen or the bishop. I kind of like the queen on this file here. I could throw in the move pawn takes check. What's he going to do about it? Yeah, let's take the bishop. Take with the bishop. I mean, because it was a check, I could throw it in, but then if he interposed the queen, I'd be compelled to exchange so that I didn't lose a piece here. I'd still have to recapture the knight. So if I recapture first, I'm still threatening this pawn takes check, and maybe more. And I don't have to worry about leaving my queen hanging because it's defended by the bishop. So pawn takes check. How's he going to do that? If he just moves his king, I'll just grab another pawn. This is defended. If he blocks with the queen, he can't block with the bishop because my pawns are covering that square, or the knight, so he has to block with the queen.
Check.
I think. Then I can capture the queen and then grab another pawn. Should be a good endgame for me. Or, okay, so he just moved the king. So do I have something better than grabbing a pawn? Knight here. Well, I don't really see it. Let's just take the pawn. Grab the pawn while the getting is good. So after he takes back, the 5 pawns against 5 pawns. Yeah, so I have a material advantage now because I've because I captured a pawn, and so I want to move this knight out of the way so that I can develop my bishop. I'm a little worried about his bishop coming to g5 and pinning my knight. So maybe instead of moving this knight right away, maybe I could play b6 here. And then this pawn would not be weak, and my bishop could come out to this square a6 or b7. And the pin, the knight is supported by the knight and the queen. So I can unpin by moving the queen. And it'll be nice to develop the bishop with tempo and get the rook here. That should be good. Okay, queen there hitting g6, so I gotta respect that. If I go here, he's got to check with the knight. No, he doesn't. I go here, and the knight tries to attack g6, I can take his knight. Could have thrown in the check. That's true, you can always check. Okay, so let's do the check now.
Check.
Now let's unpin first before anything goes horribly wrong here. Before he can exploit that pin in some nasty way. And then maybe get my rook to the e file here. My queen is covering the king's escape here, so there's potential for back rank mates if he's not cautious. Let's see, I also have knight e4 hitting his bishop, blocking the queen's view of this diagonal. Might be worth something. Or rook e8 to e2, hitting the queen and hitting this pawn, and then knight to e4, doubling up on the f2 pawn. That could be an idea too. Okay, so he's moved his knight away. Where can the knight? The knight can come in here with the sacrifice. Here, here, here. Okay, I still think rook e1 looks good. I don't want to get too low on time. It covers the e2 square. Rook e8 to e2 is not a plan because the knight covers e2. Still have knight e4. Hitting the bishop. Is this sacrifice any good? Knight f4, knight f5, pawn takes f5, queen takes f5. Just rook to e5 is probably good there. Does white have other ideas? The knight, I don't see it doing anything. The rook can't come out because I've guarded the e1 square with my rook. Can't, we could go to the d file. Bishop is already, you know what he should do is he should try and develop his other rook. Ah, there he goes. Ah, he found it. Okay. Not bad. Okay, so I still think I want to go knight e4. My pieces are a little bit jammed up. I need to kind of unclog them a bit here. And if I can trade off this attacking piece here, that would probably help my case. And I can consider playing bishop e7. Anyway, this dark squared bishop here is not doing anything, and I need to get all my pieces active to take advantage of the extra piece. You know, I have 2 pieces for a rook. But if the pieces aren't playing, it won't help. But maybe, yeah, bishop e7, rook f8 would gang up on the f2 pawn. Okay, so he's going that way. There is a pin there. That's a bit annoying. Okay, so this knight to f6, knight d7 to f6. If bishop takes, knight takes, defends my rook. That's one idea. Another idea is bishop to e7 right away, so that my rook is no longer hanging. I think I like that better. Putting more pressure on the bishop. So bishop takes bishop, rook takes. And I am threatening knight takes bishop because this bishop is defended. Now I'd probably play bishop takes bishop. Would I? Pawn takes. Okay, well that helped me. I'm not entirely sure it's threatening to take the bishop, honestly. This knight here is doing a good job of guarding the square g3 because there's this sacrifice, pawn takes, well if the queen were there, but knight here check, pawn takes, rook here check. Might have been an idea, especially if the queen were still operating on that diagonal, but maybe I've closed it off enough. So he could try f3, hitting my knight. Hitting my knight and opening up this line for his queen. And maybe something would happen. And after I retreat, his rook is hanging. Ah, that's the way to do it. He puts the rook somewhere so my knight is pinned, and now he's threatening f3. Yeah. So I need to move my knight somewhere. I mean my rook. I need to move my rook somewhere where it's defended. So rook to e5, and I can move the knight away. Takes, knight takes, or takes, queen takes. So it's adequately defended there. He's got knight f3 though. How about I just go to f7, hitting f2. The knight doesn't really need the protection of the rook. It was more about unpinning, unpinning that knight so it's free to move. So now I am threatening to take on f2 with something. Probably the knight. He can play, if the knight moves, he can play, yeah, that's going to be annoying. If the knight moves, he can play rook to e6, and okay, yeah, see, he could have played f3, forcing my knight to move, and then rook e6, and they would be ganging up on the g6 pawn. So he didn't play that, and so I'm going to reinforce my knight here. Yeah, this knight could go to g4, hitting his rook. His knight goes there, hitting my rook. Yeah. I can take it. He takes. Knight goes here. And do I have this problem with f3 again? How about if I attack his rook? No. He takes my rook, I take his rook. He takes my queen, I take his queen. He takes my knight, I take his rook. So I go here, and the rook moves, and then I can play rook here. He goes here, check, I can take it. Now he can fork my two knights. This may not be good. Okay, he takes my rook, I take his rook. He takes my queen, I take his queen. Okay, he took my knight, so I have to take his knight. Okay, and I've still got two pieces for the rook. And now this is a more stable situation. Check. Yep, he can harass me a bit. But
white forfeits on time.
Yeah, I think I was winning here. So anyway, I will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.